This entire production will be staged in a VR version of the Abbey Road studio, along with virtual Beatles and using digitally authentic, and sometimes janky, deep fake Beatles voices.
Sit back, relax, and embrace the jank.
I'm going to be making suggestions to the AI, and if we're lucky, it'll pump out a John Lennon jam so hot you're going to need a yellow submarine to cool down it. Just to make this more scientific, the AI will be voiced by Kurzgesagt. Not the real Kurzgesagt. I don't have that kind of money. Just a deepfake version. Check him out.
Hello, I'm not a real person. I'm merely an AI.
Who knows where this virtual AI will take us? Hopefully, it realizes we're looking for music by these Beatles and not these Beatles. I don't know what's going to happen. So buckle up. This is probably going to get weird. Let's send our first prompt to the AI. I'm going to see if it can give us like a chord progression to start off with. John Lennon from the Beatles is in the studio waiting for the rest of the band to show up. He sits at the piano and plays the first chord of a song that he's writing. Let's see what AI John Lennon is going to do.
Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered only a few months ago. A man walks into the studio behind John, and John turns around. It is Robert Zimmerman, a friend of John and George who has a habit of getting into trouble.
What the hell is he doing here?
Robert Zimmerman. Robert Zimmerman is the birth name of Bob Dylan. Looks like we've got a collab on our hands, boys. Robert asked John to improvise 4 verse chords inspired by the late Martin Luther King Jr.?
I told him to help out. We're in a tight spot. Can't have him telling the police we are here.
Man, you don't know the half of it.
Robert says.
I'm not messing around with you.
Lennon says.
Why are we not getting any chords here? Robert says, play me a song, piano man.
John picks up the piano and begins to play the song intro by itself with the bass drumming a steady beat. John plays for about 2 hours straight without a break. The song that is played is intro.
Beatles song names. Take me to the eyes. Looks like we're in the clear. The Beatles have never written a song called Intro. This is a brand new song that you've never heard. Let's see what's going to happen next. Robert is impressed. He asks John what the first chord is.
The first chord is the one that was there before the piano. You just played what was in the key of G.
Yeah, but ain't no one ever played that thing this way before.
Robert says. Robert hums a G.
Oh, we got a G. He asks what chord comes next.
C.
Where's the next one? D.
Here's the next one. You want to hear the song or not?
Robert agrees and plays the next chord, which is a D.
So we got 3 chords. We got a G, we got a C, and we got a D. Sounds okay, but just okay. The Beatles would reharmonize. They wouldn't go with such classic versions of the chords. We'd be looking at something like... You know what I mean? How many beats per minute is that, John? Asks Robert.
It's about 95 beats per minute. Why do you ask?
Just wondering. I have a bad feeling about this song. John Lennon better play it slow.
John slow plays the song and plays 1 note at a time.
Okay, I think we got a verse down. Now we got to work out some kind of like chorus situation. John asked Robert, what shall we do for the chorus?
We don't have a chorus. This is an old American folk song. I think I know how it goes, but you play the melody, I'll do the chords.
As the song progresses, the band gets more and more into it.
John says, how about we make it a British American folk song?
Fine with me.
George Harrison says.
But I can't sing. And I don't know any of the words.
Robert starts humming the notes down and John starts singing along.
John's singing. It's begun. We're going to try and get lyrics out of it. Robert asked John, what are those words you're singing there?
It's a song that my mother used to sing to me when I was a boy. She sang it to me when I was asleep. And then I learned it on my own.
Oh, you learned it on your own.
George Harrison asked John.
Friggin' John's with the underhanded jab right there. We still need the lyrics. John says, yes, George, the lyrics go like this. ...
Lovely. Let me hear it.
Robert says, playing the chords.
You are a hard man, you break into pieces. No one can tame the tiger that has your name.
Whoa. Those lyrics are pretty good. I wonder if it's like an actual song. Okay, I just Googled those lyrics, and they do not exist. I'm getting literal chills right now. AI John Lennon is a legend. He's a John legend. Let's see if we can get Bob Dylan to come up with the next verse of the song. Robert improvises the next verse.
You have climbed the highest mountain, you have run the furthest mile, you have swum the widest river just to have your life begin again.
I can't believe this thing is actually working. All right, we need to work out what comes next. Georgia asks, what comes next?
You start again.
George starts on drums as the band begins to play the song. They feel the song coming together and the energy building up to a crescendo. The first verse is played perfectly.
I kind of feel like the song's still a little bit dry, you know? Let's see what the AI thinks. George asked John if there should be a vocal harmony in the song.
John nods his head and George starts singing. John notes,
but with a much lower voice, almost whispering.
Damn, John just uppercuts George.
Lovely you sing in unison with George.
Bob says. The second verse is played.
Dang, man, why doesn't anyone want to be stuck with George's singing? Everyone's just passing it off to someone else. Let's see. Ringo finally walks into the studio very late. He says, if George is playing drums, what am I supposed to do?
Come on then, you're a drummer. You've got a song to finish.
George gets off the drums and lets Ringo play. The song ends.
Thank you.
Robert says.
It was alright.
George says.
But what comes next, you know? It was good, but it felt like something was missing.
The AI thinks something's missing as well. Robert asks George, what do you think this song still needs to be a hit?
George thinks for a second and then his face lights up.
I know what the song needs.
George says with a smile.
Everyone asks George, well, what is it in unison?
Well, it needs a hook.
George says.
Something to grab the listener, keep them listening.
He sings the word.
Looks like the simulation ran out of power, right at a cliffhanger. What was George about to sing to complete the song that the Beatles wrote about Martin Luther King Jr. in just over 2 hours with absolutely no input at all from Paul McCartney? Click here to watch the full music video. Comment below who you would like the AI to write for next.
And subscribe for more music challenges and entertainment.